All right, we're continuing in the PowerPoint for chapters 13 through 14. We're going to resume on page 38. Or, I'm sorry, slide number 38. I keep getting confused. Slides and pages. Anyway, the main task of administrative bureaucracy is to implement policy. So if Congress writes a law and it's signed into law by a president, they execute the law in some way, shape, or form. Because again, remember, they're in the executive branch, they're under the executive branch. Or if there's a judicial decision, they can execute that, because again, when the Supreme Court makes decisions, it becomes constitutional law. So then that's where the enforcement or execution of law comes in. There are some limitations to what the administrative bureaucracies can do. Again, they only have the money that Congress gives them. So if Congress does not allocate money or reduces their budget or cuts their budget or whatever, they obviously can be affected by that. If you look at slide number 39, you can see how they're accountable to the presidency. They're accountable to a national performance review. Presidents can issue executive orders that force agencies to pursue certain administrative actions. They can be reorganized at will. Obviously, presidents can appoint different leaders to or remove the heads of offices. So obviously, you can see where they're accountable to the president there. And then, of course, in the Office of Management and Budget, they control funding to the administrative agencies. If you move to slide number 40, they're accountable to Congress. Again, the main way they're accountable to Congress is they've got to go to Congress and say, listen, I need funding. Okay, if Congress decides to withdraw their funding, they can shut them down. Congress can take authority away from bureaucracy. Again, Congress has lawmaking authority, and so many of these agencies were created by Congress. So the same Congress that creates agencies can also, basically destroy them or deconstruct them or reform them in a certain way, shape, or form. They also have an oversight function, Congress does, and they make sure that the executive agencies are basically complying with the law, that the lawmaking that executive agencies do is in basically comports with what Congress wants, the desire of Congress in that particular area, okay? And then there's accountability. If you look at, I'm sorry, I skipped over a slide. If you look at slide number 41, there are ways that Congress could constrain the bureaucracy if they desire, okay? One way is to simply draft more detailed laws. I mean, a very easy way that Congress can take back power from administrative agencies is stop punting lawmaking power to them. Okay, they can create detailed laws that basically takes administrative agencies out of the picture. Another way they can constrain the bureaucracy is they can enact what are called sunset provisions within laws, where there's specific dates within a law that law expires unless it's renewed by Congress. In other words, it allows the administrative agencies to work within that time frame, but then at the end of that time frame, basically Congress reviews what they've done and decides, okay, wait a minute, this law ended at this time. Are we going to renew it? Are we going to terminate it? In other words, it continually causes the bureaucracies to have to go back before Congress to basically exist, or at least that particular function of the administrative bureaucracies. Okay, and then you go to slide number 42, finally, accountability through the courts. Legally, the bureaucracy derives its powers from Congress, but an injured party can bring suit against an agency through an Article 3 court if it is found that that agency has not enacted that law properly. Okay, and if the court agrees, the agency must change its power and policy. Generally, the courts tend to support administrators of laws if their actions are at least consistent with the law that they are administrating. Again, remember the Chevron deference doctrine. They will defer to administrative agency rulings unless those rulings are considered by the court unreasonable. Okay, so anyway, that concludes the section on bureaucracy. We'll resume next video on chapter 14 and the courts.